Good morning and welcome to day 62 of Geriatric 1944's Coronavirus Diaries. And today I want to talk about Bob Geldof, Live Aid, Band Aid and the Boomtown Rats. But I'll get onto that in a moment. Just briefly, today, the great story the media has is Boris Johnson's political advisor, Dominic Cummings, dared break the rules laid down about coronavirus and went to visit his family. Oh, it's rubbish. It's just more indication of the media. All the media cares about is a great story. I am not a Boris Johnson fan. I'm not a fan of the Conservatives. I'm not a fan of any of the political parties. I think they're all wankers, actually, if the truth be known. I think this whole situation has been badly handled, all because they're all terrified of and enthralled to the media, who just want a good story. And that's the whole thing about the coronavirus insanity. If you look at the latest map of deaths around the world, you'll see that it's only really 4 countries, the UK, Italy, France and Spain, that have had lots of deaths from or associated with, point please, coronavirus, 30,000 each about. All the rest of the world, if you take it in ratio to the population, because things like America and Brazil have got enormous populations, so quite a lot of deaths, but actually doesn't mean very much. It's actually a really trivial virus for most countries and most people around the world. It's only dangerous for a tiny percentage of people, and it's only lethal for an even tinier percentage of people. Not nice for them, sad for their families, but no sadder than having a relation die of cancer or heart attack or stroke or sepsis or anything else. Anyway, we move on from that, but that's my point. The media, and back out of the media into further media insanity. And years ago, a man called Bob Geldof decided to use the media, which he knew how to work very well, as indeed I did at that point. At that point was, it's amazing, a friend of mine just sent me a clip, the BBC broadcast last night, of I think the 1979 election. It's well worth looking at.
Jonathan King, who's less well known for his politics than his promoting of pop music, pulled in just 315 votes. And finally,
That's me standing for Parliament and failing to get in, but getting a lot of publicity. I knew how to work the media. Bob Geldof knew how to work the media. Now, Bob is actually a really intelligent, bright, nice guy. He's great company. He's very funny. He's got a good brain working. And he made some wonderful records with the Boomtown Rats. I've already said my personal favourite was a track called She's So Modern that wasn't one of their biggest hits, but they had a couple of number ones. I Don't Like Mondays was a genius song, I thought. Rat Trap was great. They had a lot of success in the 70s, in the punk era, and they were very good. And Bob made a very good charismatic frontman, pouting and all the rest of it. I mean, actually, he wasn't that great. He owed an awful lot to Mick Jagger crossed with Bruce Springsteen, but he was very good. He had a lot of star quality. Always amused me whenever I bumped into him. I remember I once bumped into him wearing that silly wig, and I knew, we were talking for about 10 minutes, it was in a sort of public place at some awards thing, and all the way through I knew he was thinking, I've got to tear that wig off this man's head. And he resisted it all the way through because he could see a glint in my eye saying, don't even think about it. So I really like Bob Geldof, but I fell out with him badly because I was the only person to really criticise Band Aid and Live Aid. So I thought it was not a very good record, and basically it was a lot of celebrities making the best of getting publicity for themselves, and the whole thing about it doing good was actually a mistake because the organisation was really not great, and I don't think much of the money reached the starving people. Most of it went into the pockets of corrupt customs officials in all the various countries and bought them enormous houses. But other than that, large sums of money that should have gone to Oxfam and Save the Children and all the other charities that are professional and well run and really do good suddenly dried up and went instead to Band-Aid. Anyway, that was one of the reasons I hated it. I also hated it because I thought the concert, for example, was terrible. Most acts came through really badly, sounded out of tune and all the rest of it. And I thought, no, this is not good for music. And I hate charity records going to number one because they're bought for the wrong reasons. I think if you want to support a charity, give money to the charity. Design a charity. And charities, when you're sort of saying, look at me, I'm so kind, I'm so generous, I'm so nice, and then get a record to number one, taking up a slot that perhaps could have been occupied by a much better record, is bad for music. But that's neither here nor there. My main point, the one I want to make, is it really ruined Bob's life. And I remember at one point early on, amongst a lot of swear words, he said, I would do a deal with the devil to get this working and to get this happening. And I winced and I thought, Bob, you do not know how evil the devil is. Now, I say this, by the way, not believing there is a devil, just as I don't believe there is a God, as you'll hear when I play a track towards the end. I am a it doesn't matterist. I neither believe nor disbelieve. I'm sure there are many forces that we do not understand, us tiny human beings, but I don't go along with the conventional organised religion or sin or whatever. But when Bob said that, I thought, the devil, if there is a devil or a force or whatever, is a very tricky unit. And actually, you shouldn't do deals with the devil, Bob. Mainly because Bob, whose intentions were entirely honourable at the start and who really only wanted to save lives, I really believe that, saw something coming along that was much, much more important to him: fame. Fame and fortune, but mainly fame. He was going to become an incredibly large celebrity, and that's what he wanted, and that was the deal the devil offered to him. I'll make you a very famous celebrity. And I thought, you don't want to go down that road, Bob, because with it comes all sorts of appalling ghastliness. And the rest of Bob's life has been total tragedy. The main tragedy, the thing he really liked doing, which was making music, was basically ruined. That was the end of his musical career on any level worth having. But also his personal life was completely screwed up. The whole tragic thing about Paula Yates and everything else. We won't go there, but it really was a horrible thing to happen to him for the whole of the rest of his life. The devil offered me a deal a few years ago, 20 years ago. I'll make all this go away, JK, if you like, possibly in the guise of a small demon who phoned up my office and said, for £5,000 each, the 5 false accusers will withdraw their claims. My answer was, fuck off. Fuck off, Satan. Fuck off, Lucifer. Fuck off, devil. I'm not doing deals with you. You're very tricky. And the deal was that it wouldn't ruin my career and my personal life and my image and everything else. He'd step back and he'd allow me to be found not guilty in 2001, now 20 years ago, and that I could go on and be chairman of EMI globally and make millions for the country and all the rest of it. Very attractive, except I know the devil. And what would have happened to me personally, with my conscience and my inner sense of being, would have been destroyed. I refused it. And the rest is history. The consequences went through, and I'm delighted I refused it. I have no regrets whatsoever. I'm very happy. I have loads of really good friends and family around me. I've had a fantastic life, and I fully intend to have more fantastic life, mainly battling against the devil, in most cases the false allegations industry. People making fortunes out of false allegations of sex abuse, and people being sent to jail and having their lives ruined, innocent people, because of the work of the devil. That's what I'm currently fighting against. One of the songs I wrote for a film of mine, which you really ought to watch if you haven't seen it, called Vile Pervert the Musical, was my basic opinion on big corporations and organised religions and everything else. And I think it's great fun. You probably not heard it because it's my later period of making music, which I think was a good period. I'm proud of it, but not many people have heard it because the devil won on that one for the moment. So have a listen. I'll see you tomorrow, and I leave you with the sound of Jonathan King and I Hate Coca-Cola.
I hate Coca-Cola and I hate Pepsi too. Flavouring with chemicals and an aftertaste of glue. I hasten to say this is just my opinion. I really have no idea what's in them. But if you want to love them, that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like what you like, that's fine. I'll allow your tastes, you respect mine. I hate McDonald's and Burger King the same. The only thing I like about them is their second name. I hate terrorists who think that God exists. I hate governments locking up for suspicion, justifying their position with a different religion. I hate Jesus Christ, and I hate Allah too. I hate all organized structure that tells us what to do. You are quite entitled to believe anything you like, that's okay with me. I'll defend your right to worship anyone you choose, except if it means stepping on someone else's shoes. I hate people who go on about hating. They are so occupied with negating. It gets frustrating, like moral masturbating. I hate all branding and all grandstanding. I hate hypocrisy. It's everywhere you see. I hate all writers so proud dictating in the name of art and music, pretending to be debating. I hate me, I hate you. Sometimes I'm so busy hating, I've got no time